these players have Elysiana in their main decks. It feels like it's been a while. It's kind of similar with a couple different inclusions, but overall, I'd say an even matchup.
Warrior stuff, it's largely been the tempo that's been able to be generated.
Because of that fact, because we've dodged the Elysiana being super relevant, that means that this first match could go the distance. And I'm excited to see if that's going to be the case, to be honest. It's the last one. Let's go out with a bang.
With a boom. All right. Turning him over on one. I don't anticipate games 2 and 3 being that case. I think Eddie has the more aggressive deck list.
Yeah, he has gone for the much more aggressive deck list.
Right, so actually, I think game 1 will be the long one here.
So is StrifeCro. Yeah. So they both have very aggressive secondary decks.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like it. Eddie already kind of frozen on the Town Crier versus the Hero Power movement here. You get Town Crier, you fill out your curve most likely because you're like you're most of the time drawing Militia Commander in this spot. And then you have Clockwork Goblin and Dynomatic. Everything else kind of lines up nicely and neatly. StrifeCro with the Weapons Project. Kind of debatable if whether or not you should even play Weapons Project. It seems to be a really good disruption tool in the mid stage of the game, excuse me, of the Wrench Caliber. Even just like using it for armor gain and shield slam just has much more uses than early game cleanup of 1/2s.
Yeah.
The 1/2s, like, it matters if you're playing as like Token Druid, or even just like early mechs from Hunters that need to like magnetize and snowball the advantage. For now, though, it's not like these Bomb Warriors really capitalize on having like a Town Crier on board. You're not going to be in trouble because of that. Oh, and if anything, now that he has Weapons Project and Inheritance Jones, now that's actually grounds for playing Weapons Project in this position, because now you can take down the Clockwork Gnome and then coin out the Harrison Jones.
You do have to be a little bit careful about how much you draw when you're both on even footing in the matchup with Arcos Elysiana and no bounces. Now, as we've talked about, I feel like 100 times at this point, oftentimes doesn't come down to that. But the times that it does, you really regret drawing aggressively in the early game because it makes your turns awkward. Now, the counter argument to that is by drawing aggressively, you hit Dr. Mad Genius more often, more consistently. You hit your more powerful threats more often, more consistently.
Yeah, you have the ability, you have more options to establish tempo. It goes badly when you're very behind on the fatigue. So yeah, I can totally understand the logic of taking it a little bit slower and not rushing it through. Taking a look at the deck list a little bit closer here. Augmented Elix for Eddie. That might play a factor here. I feel like when we go deep into the Elysiana range, we've been seeing those bombs play a significant factor in terms of weighing when to develop onto the board versus playing Elysiana to destroy the bombs in your deck. For now, Eddie with a very slow turn forward, not even going to utilize the Militia Commander, recognizing that it doesn't really do anything here.
Yeah, he's basically cut one Omega Devastator and one Shield block to fit in the Augmented Elix. Those are the only two differences in both these players' decks. And honestly, I don't know which one I'd rather have. I'm leaning towards the Elix, but Omega Devastator, just having one extra copy allows you to fight more consistently in the super late stages,
right?
Like turns 20 plus. It allows you to gain tempo back. So,
yeah, this is an interesting divergence in philosophy. You know, when you see players like Amnesiac going for Weapons Project into Harrison, it's a very different scenario. Well, one, he's playing against a player that doesn't have Archivist Elysiana, so he can do that very freely. The second is that his deck list, as he was progressing through the series, got more aggressive. So that's also a reason why he was willing to just toss in the Weapons Project and the Harrison Jones. So these are some of the reasons to think about if you are also playing these deck lists on why the players have choosing different macro lines here. Eddie, once again, doesn't have much to develop here. So if he's choosing to take it slow, it's looking like a pass to me.
And honestly, Dan and I have been joking, like, long days because of Warrior. We don't want to see Warrior again next week, but if you are in kind of this anti-Warrior camp and you like refuse to play it, I actually highly recommend playing the deck. Warrior just in general, Control Warrior, I feel like teaches you a lot about just Hearthstone in general, especially in control style matchups, because almost every game is different. There's not a straightforward win condition. A lot of players point to Elysiana as like, oh, if you have Elysiana and I don't, you just win. But we've seen that not 100% be the case.
It's really not true.
And
it's sometimes true.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of players saying like they've been learning the matchups as they go. Even players that have put in prep. And more players are going on the tempo line as opposed to the like being greedy with resource line, because they're realizing that most of these games are coming down to which player grabs tempo and not which player has more resources.
Yep. Some people are taking Elysiana out of their decks entirely, like not even in their second and tertiary decks, and playing as the Solfi instead.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of legitimacy to that, and I think part of the reason why this ends up happening is because Warrior games take a long time. So even if you do prep and play Warrior, you often get yourself into scenarios where you're not familiar with it, only because you didn't have the games take like 2 to 3 times longer, and so you don't have as many repetitions. Therefore, you don't experience nearly as many situations, so you don't know exactly what to do. You might encounter, especially if it gets down to Elysiana and delivery drone scenarios, you might end up having situations where you realize that you could have played that one better in a tournament setting. Whew. That match history bar, though.
Oh, yeah. That town crier getting in there for one is ruining my tank ups.
Well, and the bomb exploding.
Yeah, and the bomb exploding. That was StrifeCro's bomb? StrifeCro drew that bomb?
Yes, StrifeCro drew the bomb.
Okay.
What now?
Trusting you on this one, Teach.
I got you. Eddie currently has 2. StrifeCro has 0.
Eddie seems to be very methodically waiting for the rope to make a play. One thing that might also be a real thing, too, is like playing the player and trying to fatigue them and annoy them by roping every turn. I know this because some players have told me that they do that. They're trying to see if they can gain a mental advantage by like making the other player impatient by waiting to do something fairly obvious and roping.
StrifeCro is impervious to this magic.
I don't know. I feel like whenever I hang out with StrifeCro, sometimes he tells me about a story, how he gets tilted. And when he tells me enough stories, it makes me feel like he's just a normal guy. Like, he is a very chill and relaxed dude. You just watch him stream for an hour and you get pretty much his entire personality.
Yeah.
But he is also capable of being tilted. It's going to be one of those kinds of games. Harrison, while trying to squeeze out the hero power, he didn't even need to play that. He was on 8 cards, or he was on 9 cards. He could have just waited.
Could have just waited, but doesn't want to fall too far behind on the board. Not that it matters too much because he's got a wealth of removal options in hand. It's just, you know, maybe Eddie plays a weapon, and then Harrison Jones, he gets deeper into his deck. Maybe StrifeCro is already on the game plan of minimize card draw.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Eddie again refusing to do anything until the rope burns. Oh, we got the attacks in.
Light the fuses!
Yeah, the Dynamatic here cleaning up very simply. And you know, it might sound like we're mocking him, we're really not. Eddie's like a player that's been trying to improve with every single game he plays. He like thinks about every possibility that he did right and wrong, and that's also led to his strong improvement in results and his mentality over the years.
Yeah. One of the highest point earners, honestly, in the past couple years, more so last year. And a lot of that was because of his performance at tour stops.
Right.
Which are, you know, if you think of tour stops in the context of playoffs, it's like the, you know, 70-ish best players in the region. And tour stops are all of those same players,
Yeah.
plus like 100 more. So very high caliber.
He's playing so much faster now. I think maybe instead of talking about like waiting for a disciplined amount of time to make a decision, I think he spent his first 5 turns mapping out like how he wants to macro this game. When we talk about macro, we talk about the overarching strategy. Like, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to bounce my Elysiana and wait for that? Am I trying to get to my Dr. Boom as fast as I can and react to his opponent? And I think now that he's mapped it out, he's played so much faster in the past few turns. It's very interesting. I don't know if StrifeCro will think too much into that, considering that in the end, ultimately, Eddie's just still gaining armor. Look at the life difference. It's almost twice the amount.
Yeah. Which can matter, because Eddie goes one card further into fatigue, but then with a 25 life advantage,
Oh, man.
that offsets some.
StrifeCro not drawing a single card. He says, you know what? Eddie, you can draw that card from the shield block, but I will not. Eddie knows that if he plays his Wrench Caliber, it opens him up to a weapons project. He doesn't have space for the Omega assembly. Might be a pass here. 3 more, TJ. Can we do it? No, we can't. He has to play a card from his hand. He does not want to burn his Dr. Boom Mad Genius. Does not want to burn his Blastmaster. I guess the alternative is to play a Dynomatic here.
Yeah.
Alternatively, he could shield block and then evaluate. We talked about how resources and Elysiana wasn't a huge impact, but last time we saw StrifeCro play, it was against Amnesiac, and it did end up coming down to some of that resource battle back and forth, and it was very close, a nail-biter series.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people who were talking about, you know, the Grandmasters week, and there was definitely some complaints out there saying like, oh, there's just like a lot of warriors, it makes it for lack of diversity. And then some players were saying, you know what, honestly, I felt like it was really interesting watching the players be so meticulous about every move. And they were highlighting, especially StrifeCro versus Amnesiac. They're saying that was like a really cool chess match back and forth. And while Amnesiac wasn't playing his best, it led to an exciting finish.
Yeah, Elysiana is not just a card you play when you're in fatigue that like wins you the game, right? Especially in these mirror matchups, you have to put a lot of thought into even your choices from Elysiana.
Right.
And even beyond that, like the trades that you make, mana expenditure, since you're usually picking up to pick up big threats. Or it's like, well, do I pick up a big threat, or do I pick up something small that has like a board impact, like an immediate board impact, like those types of micro decisions in the super late game. And then every decision that's made at this point in the game also affects that, right? Because if you draw cards, then that can put you 1 card behind in that fatigue battle, which means you have to pace out your resources even better. It's it may seem slow, and the decisions that they're making now may not feel like they have too big of an impact, but it's a ripple effect, Dan.
It is a ripple.
Trickle-down economics.
That's not what that means at all. The Wrench Caliber... so Eddie has the Augmented Alex in the deck, so I can understand why he wants to save them to maybe get 2 bombs in later in the game. If you can power load your opponent's back and like, so generally you want to sporadically include bombs into your opponent's deck so they never know when exactly to hold 10 cards. But if you power load in the back, you can, if you force your opponent to hold 10 cards, you have this very small window of opportunity to try and force them into that tough position of, do I hold 10 cards and not develop, or do I develop but then accept the risk of the bomb and all this damage?
Defend the gates.
At least that's how I'm interpreting it. For now, it seems like StrifeCro finally has some use of his militia commanders here to answer his opponent militia commander. Clockwork Goblin. I guess that's another card for StrifeCro to play when he gets to 10 and needs to dump something. The big fear of holding 10 cards with all these bombs being shuffled is the fact that neither player has played Dr. Boom Mad Genius. So that is kind of a funny thing to consider, is that if Eddie starts shuffling a bunch of bombs into StrifeCro's deck, he can't really go for that strategy viably without that risk.
Yeah. But then he doesn't want to strand his Augmented Elec at the same time.
Which is very interesting. Like, maybe that's how the way this game is developing. Like, Eddie knows that StrifeCro isn't playing the Dr. Boom Mad Genius, which means that gives him room to be more aggressive with bombs, which allows him to hold Wrench Calibers a lot more than he usually does. Because right now, this seems like a fairly obvious, like, oh, I'm just going to Wrench Caliber and push, right? Like, by all means. But if he finds that Augmented Elec and can start doing that before StrifeCro picks up his Dr. Boom Mad Genius, he'll be in that position where he has to leave a space open in his hand to draw the hero card.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, does Eddie instead choose to play, say, Ziliax?
What now?
To try to save the Wrench Caliber? Or is he going to just go for the Wrench Caliber now?
Or Harrison Jones as well, to try and get that out of the way before a weapon comes down.
Oh, he chooses both. Okay, I was not expecting both. I was expecting him just to play one card at a time. He knows Harrison Jones has already played from StrifeCro. Oh, this is to stop the weapons project from hitting his militia commander.
Ah, yeah.
This is smart.
That is a micro decision, Dan.
Yeah, very good one. Because he's trying to squeeze out the damage. If he's going for the bomb strategy, then damage all of a sudden becomes pretty relevant. If he's not going for a bomb strategy, then both players are going to be in the 50s and 60s of health.
Yeah.
So now Eddie's shifting over to a more gradual bomb strategy. He's expecting the weapons project, but he's also hoping that the Ziliax can't go answered, easily at least, without StrifeCro dealing damage to himself. Because we know StrifeCro can just deal with this with his own Ziliax. But in the best case scenario, Eddie goes and squeezes like 9 more damage like he did the previous time we saw him play.
Yeah.
He was the one that was playing Ziliax in a position to get for damage. It was an aggressive Ziliax, not a reactive one. If Eddie's committing to this play, I wonder if he goes for the Augmented Elec pickup here by Harrison Jones' opponent's weapons project.
Or even try and gain an advantage by accelerating his ability to get Dr. Boom online.
That's fair. Yeah, that's also a good point.
Both Dr. Booms.
The more turns he has Dr. Boom, the more chance he has for Delivery Drone to get big opportunities like that.
What now?
Okay, this Harrison is a commitment to that bomb line then.
That belongs in a museum.
All right, Eddie's looking for an Augmented Elec or his hero cards. He finds Dr. Boom Mad Genius.
StrifeCro just sitting up going, whoa.
Yeah, he's not anticipating this, I think, because he doesn't know Eddie's hand, obviously, but Eddie sees what's going on. And StrifeCro, without his hero card, has to leave stuff open for the bombs, and if Eddie picks up his bombs, it's going to start raining.
Yeah, this is, I honestly think this is a smart deviation for the reasons that you mentioned. Like,
assuming that's the case, obviously. I could be completely off base.
I don't think there's any other reason to draw with Harrison Jones.
Yeah.
Or at least to try and pressure before he gets Dr. Boom, right? If you find Dr. Boom first, you gain a huge advantage because you're generating resources that your opponent doesn't have access to. So they're spending real cards in their deck, and you're spending cards that you get from nothing, effectively.
Well, it's not only that. It's also, I think Eddie's very much okay picking up either of his Elecs so that he can just shuffle more bombs in StrifeCro's decks.
And then put him in that awkward situation of not being able to diffuse the bombs.
Yeah, because, you know, like most players are pointing out, it's not really going to often come down to if you run out of cards. And also Eddie recognizes that he has a huge health difference, so even if it did come down to the run out of card situation, and you're both like hero powering, he has such a life lead that it might not make a difference. Dr. Boom Mad Genius here looks very nice, and he can even capitalize with the immediate hero power. Almost any of them are good.
I'm so
Well,
Interestingly enough, that does make it kind of awkward because I think he'd rather draw a card than burn one here. So delivery drone, he actually would want to pick up like a 1-mana mech.
Okay, then.
otherwise he'd have to expend his Shield Slam, because if we're correct on assuming his game plan, the Elix still left in his deck are very crucial, as well as Blastmaster Boom. Every other card, not so much. Does find Eternium Rover, so that's kind of a free giveaway. But there are a lot of dead cards in his deck still. So picking up Boom Reaver.
Boom Reaver is just like the best raw card for tempo, which is like the ultimate game plan of any warrior versus warrior. Eternium Rover goes closer to the line that we were talking about, which is the Elic. So we'll get a good idea of his mindset. Oh, okay, he just spends the Shield Slam.
Yeah.
Shield Slam's premium removal, so it's like hard for me to like part ways with that. But I mean, Eddie's like recognizing that this is probably his best way to bridge that gap, because if you think about it, if you have Dr. Boom Mad Genius, all your minions become removal. So it's okay if you lose one Shield Slam here if you're going to commit to this Elic/tempo line.
Yeah. Boom Reaver's kind of a Shield Slam in a way.
Yeah. And like StrifeCro's like kind of playing directly into it too, because he's playing so slow and not drawing really that aggressively. And part of me thinks that the reason why Eddie could do this line with the Elic/draw to Dr. Boom was because he saw things like StrifeCro play Harrison before he played Weapons Project. This seems like a good opportunity for the Boom Reaver to come out.
Yeah, a lot of great pickups still left in his deck.
Yeah, you're not missing a big hero power either.
Elic just kind of not the biggest minion, but just the having the threat of it on the board for additional bombs. Blastmaster Boom still in the deck.
Yep. Does he have like an accolade or anything he's worried about?
He doesn't even run accolades, and neither does StrifeCro.
Okay. Town Crier.
Not going to pick up anything. He's already played all of his rush minions.
Seems like Eddie has just the ability to get that hero power. I mean, the armor is nice. The Boom Reaver also gets better if he ends up playing Elysiana, so he has that like option later on. He could also wait to see what more minions he draws from the deck before he plays the Boom Reaver. Bomb drawn here for StrifeCro. Eddie's giving StrifeCro no ability to capitalize off of a good Omega Destroyer too. That's like another thing to consider.
And again, Eddie, even though he drew more aggressively, he was able to find Dr. Boom, which means he's able to just kind of build up the value in his hand, replace the bad cards with good cards.
Yeah, the more I watch this matchup, the more I feel like it's really not a big deal to be 2 or 3 cards behind and draw deeper in your deck to find Dr. Boom. It feels like you make up that difference pretty significantly.
Yeah. StrifeCro by his body language seems to disagree, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, these two players have different ideas on how to play this, frankly, quite close to a mirror. You know, like, there's a difference in the augments and Elix, but outside of that, they pretty much have similar ideas, or similar deck lists.
Yeah.
Security over here, very problematic to deal with.
Yeah.
Just because resilient against Warpath, resilient against damage.
And he's chipping away. He's keeping StrifeCro's life total in check. Not playing too far into removal, just kind of being annoying.
Yeah, StrifeCro, I think he feels fairly confident that that he can just use his health as a resource here.
Yeah, he's a few cards ahead in Fatigue. Actually, only one card. They both have a single bomb in the deck.
If Fatigue goes to 8 or 9 life, StrifeCro actually is pretty even with Eddie in terms of the health count, because just the way the damage stacks quicker.
Yeah.
Eddie will be about okay, so if it goes to 10, then it'll be about 20 to 30 damage behind, which is the difference of their shields. So it's like, even if, like, let's say this parity is kept with life total, like the 30 health difference, it's equivalent of going 3 turns fatigue deep if it goes to like 10 damage behind. So you have to be like really careful if you're StrifeCro not to take too much damage here.
Ooh. Oh, that's the worst outcome. Any other thing, the Kaboom Bot just kills, and if the Kaboom Bot lives, then that's just a boom kill. Let's see. Gets the Blastmaster.
Yeah, post-brawl, Eddie was waiting for this opportunity as well.
Yep.
StrifeCro has 1 brawl in his deck. That's another thing that Eddie was locked in on. That was the fastest turn I've seen him play until he decided not to end his turn immediately. Thinking about if he should swing. I think if he's going to make a victory push, you want to get the damage in so you can wrench Caliber next turn.
Yep.
Like, this game might not even come down to any Elysianas whatsoever. He's gonna, what, double Omega Devastator here?
I mean, that seems decent. Problem for StrifeCro is still no Dr. Boom. Seems like the story of day 3.
Well, alternatively, he can Omega Devastator, Hero Power, and then Shield Slam. Oh, sorry, Weapons Project, Shield Slam, 7/7. Omega Devastator is just like the best tempo on the board.
And Eddie's goal from here on out is just basically not give time for StrifeCro to safely play Elysiana. Like, try and put him too far behind on life and put him too far behind on board to allow him time to play it.
I think it's time to go in. Alec and Wrench Caliber. That's kind of what you've been waiting for a while as a secondary option.
Yep.
It's not the main goal here from Eddie, but it's like a side objective he built for himself. So you can attack as a Eternium Rover, puts it to 3. A Warpath, okay. Trying to clear pretty efficiently. Gonna trade the other 2/1.
Nice and clean.
Interesting. So he's not going for any bomb strategy right now then. Instead, he's just going to try to leverage his Dr. Boom advantage. Pinata. Pinata's nice.
Pinata is very nice. So is Omega Devastator.
Yep, just playing it out.
Gotta play Eternium Rover, because if Eddie kills the weaponized Pinata, then he'd be at a full 10-card hand. Still needs Dr. Boom, so can't go for any of that kind of strategy.
Yeah, he's got a pretty weird hand. Double Weapons Projects.
This would be a good
Warpaths,
time for a
Shield
master
Slams,
plan.
A lot of just
Brawl.
yeah, just stuff that's kind of junk in this matchup. So the thing about the Augmented Elec and the Wrench Caliber that I'm starting to realize is that Eddie doesn't actually have a real board presence. If he played the Elec and the weapon last turn, his opponent would have a stronger board, which means that it's not nearly as good. But at the same time, doesn't have minions to really play because it's all like removal options and Omega assemblies.
Yeah, and this is where, like, not emptying his hand sooner to be able to get Omega assemblies online.
Yeah, it is
Try
a
and
downside.
pressure. That is the downside. But still puts 2 bombs in, so.
Oh, the Black Knight. Seen him in a hot minute. Yeah, StrifeCro with the immediate Weapons Project Dynomatic to shut it down. There's still another Elec. Eddie's freeing up his hand to finally utilize the Omega assemblies.
Yeah, there's another Elec, but there are no more bombs outside of Discovered.
Oh, what?
Oh, and 2 bombs in the deck.
Here. Yes, and the hero power lines up very nicely here to shut down, to hit the Dynomatic, so that way Eddie can maximize his damage. trade in here. Alright. Present the board threat. StrifeCro can easily shield slam this, but what's his development afterwards? It's his Dr. Boom!
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
For StrifeCro.
So
Guess he can just zap these boom bots and take damage manually.
Yep.
46.
All right, well, Eddie, I think, still has a lead, at least in resources. StrifeCro's used both Mega Assemblies. That's the last bomb in Eddie's deck.
Yeah, he has to Elysiana very soon.
Yep. But he's got time.
Yep. If he can find a Clockwork Goblin, this would be pretty big. Doesn't find it. But he can keep dumping his hand, so that way he has another Omega Assembly that he can play. Now we might, I mean, it's one thing that's exciting about at the end of the second phase here, because we're about to enter the Elysiana phase. There's the opening phase of Hero Power Pass, there's the second phase of like getting to the fatigue or like decking out, and then there's the third of the Elysiana. We get to see like who was right, you know, like, because they played very differently.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is some quality stuff coming out here for StrifeCro. It's to make up for the lost time.
All three of those are good. I think Omega Devastator is the best on just the board state. Dynamatic is pretty similar because it kills the Elec and then you trade over, but Omega Devastator, you still kill the Elec and trade over, and you get to trade over the bigger minion.
Yeah, very simply, the StrifeCro has been identified as the defensive player. Eddie's been drawing more aggressively, putting more damage on, so Omega Destroyer tends to be a more reactive card.
Yeah.
And the Boom Reaver for StrifeCro might not even have a good use of it.
Yeah.
So I like the Omega Devastator.
Yep. So StrifeCro realizes that getting this Warpath out of the way now, a hard to use card, and also he's pretty sure Elysiana's coming down next turn, so he wants to have Omega Devastator to follow that up and have tempo post Elysiana.
Yeah. Damage is done though. I mean, look at the bomb damage from Eddie and all the pressure. It's put him down to 35 versus the almost 80 life of Eddie.
All right, well, let's see what's in the box. Ooh, Moshog Announcer is actually pretty decent. So all of a sudden, mechs.
All the rush.
Yeah, the rush is not as effective, and it's hard to plan around. Muck Hunter is interesting as well because both Kaboom and Microbot can kill off the Mucklings.
This would be a good time
and then you just
for
have a big
master
body for 5
plan.
mana that can also have immediate impact on the board.
But
So
you're not sure that's the Angry Chicken?
I'm absolutely positive it is not the Angry Chicken.
All right, I'll remember that. Yeah, I think I like either the Muck Hunter or the Moshog Announcer. Muck Hunter, there's like 2 out of the 5 hero powers that work really well. Or, yeah.
Looks like Moshog Announcer was the choice. We have a split second to see.
Execute. Seems to be the one here. Big Game Hunter also has a case as well.
Ooh. Cairn.
Guard and a Cairn.
So Cairn, Safeguard, Torn Warrior, Moshog, and Big Game Hunter.
Yeah, Big Game Hunter because he knows that Blastmaster Boom is still in deck, and his opponent might have Boom Reavers.
1 bomb remaining.
Ooh, StrifeCro fades the second bomb.
Now it's time to catch up on life. That's the name of the game.
Well, StrifeCro kept his Clockwork Goblins for so long post
And
Elysiana.
Wrench Caliber.
Yeah, he kept all of his bombs for post Elysiana. It's so interesting because like Eddie dumped all of his Eddie drew more aggressively and dumped his bombs faster, and then StrifeCro kept everything. Didn't get Dr. Boom, but has like almost like 30% as much life as Eddie did. Quite frankly, TJ, this feels very similar to a game of auto chess, where it's like one player is very liberal with their life total and another player is like very conservative resources. It happens all the time. And now StrifeCro, he's gonna be trying to go in with the bombs. And now, is his life total difference gonna be a factor here? That's like the big question. Because sometimes, yes, you have all the resources in the world, but you don't have the time anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody order a bomb.
Yeah, I like it. And then Eddie's like, what? Remove this turn? Like Warpath or Brawls?
StrifeCro, I think, just trying to set up for a turn where he can play Elysiana. Because he's guaranteed to draw the last card in his deck next turn.
Right.
Because one of those is a bomb.
He is so unafraid of the life difference. It's,
Yeah.
This
it's
would be a
very
good time for a
interesting.
master
Because
plan.
one of these players will lose the game.
I think the last card in the deck is an Omega Devastator.
He had two, but I think he might have gotten one off
Yeah.
the delivery drone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is an Omega Devastator. Or a Dinomatic, one of the two.
The Earth Mother.
Those are the only two I don't have check marks next to. Trying to be diligent, but it's very difficult.
I like this Karen. Very sticky and hard to remove.
Almost out of cards.
Another bomb. I mean, this is a way to capitalize on the fact that StrifeCro took a lot of damage.
Shield block.
This story
You capitalize by on the damage they take by putting sticky minions on the board. A Kali draws another Kali, but it also extends it increases your fatigue count. Star Aligner. If you can get Dr. Boom and Star Aligner on the board. Ugh.
Those aren't great.
Weapons Project is a way for him to catch up in life.
Well, not really, because it's a you go even.
Well, Eddie's further into the fatigue.
Oh, he's a Snapjaw
With the Star Aligner.
with the Star Liner.
Two ways to Snapjaw. Star Aligner. Boulder Fist Ogre with the Star Aligner. That works too.
That works too.
Yeah, so, in all seriousness though,
I think Eddie's is much higher value overall.
yeah. I don't know. Kali,
Weapons Project,
so
Starliner,
the
or
Weapons
Kali,
Project
Boulder
isn't
Fist Ogre?
even though, because Eddie is deeper in fatigue, so the life matters more because Eddie takes a bigger percentage of his life.
Okay, yeah, I see.
So that's why Weapons Project I think has.
But currently he has 74 health to StrifeCro's 24. He's got 50 more life than StrifeCro.
Yeah, and that's a massive difference.
And that's about to go even further. Eddie still has an Omega assembly also. StrifeCro is quickly running out of time.
There's going to be 3 bombs in the deck, so Eddie isn't actually at 75. He's more at 60.
Still.
And then StrifeCro can, like, wrench caliber and shoot stuff.
Yeah.
But this Karen that's unkillable is actually a huge problem.
Wow, who is that handsome?
Boommaster. Trying to fight back on the board. The ideal scenario, kill the Karen. Oh. Oh, man.
That's
Okay.
not ideal.
Yeah. Eddie picks up good Omega Assembly. Could be the difference maker here. Picks
There
up
it
Omega
is.
Devastator. He had options regardless, but this one's very nice and clean. And the Karen that just refuses to die. I think it's put on full display why this card is effective against Warrior. Because by the time this comes out, it's very hard for them to deal with it efficiently because even things like Militia Commander doesn't trade 1-for-1. And he's just pushing 4 damage a turn.
2 Weapons Projects in hand. I think it's valuable to sway. I guess not.
Well, yeah, the Weapons Project, I guess, just adds life. He wants to just press in here. He's actually threatening potential lethal.
Yeah.
On StrifeCro's end, he has the Akali.
He just doesn't have enough ways to gain life.
Okay, then.
And Eddie
Well-
just still has so much gas.
If he hero powers and Omega Devastators, he clears off 2 of the minions.
Yeah, still leaves the Bane alive.
And then it is in the Wrench Caliber.
Well, no, yeah, he'd still leave the
Okay, then.
You leave the
mech alive, the middle mech.
upgradable frame.
Or a
He knows weapons projects still remain. That's like the interesting thing about like Eddie. Eddie's played this very well, I gotta say.
Yeah, I think StrifeCro's just not far enough ahead in fatigue.
Yeah, and I kind of, part of me does want to say like, oh, you know, StrifeCro didn't have, he didn't have Dr. Boom for like, you know, an extra 8-9 turns. That was certainly a huge difference. But it's also kind of like the aggression that Eddie was able to put on and like the willingness to draw deeper into the deck, which StrifeCro clearly refused to do so. Does play a factor as well. And then, of course, you mix in the fact that Elysiana actually had reasonable threats to follow up instead of, well, funny enough, literally Boulder Fist Ogre. Amnesiac was making fun of that fact.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, what do you do with Elysiana? You just get Boulder Fist Ogre. It's like, I guess you're right. They just get Boulder Fist Ogre. No overkill on the Akali, therefore he doesn't draw the other Akali. Which, quite frankly, if I'm StrifeCro, I could make do with a 9/9 Rusher minion right now. Another bomb being drawn.
Yeah, but StrifeCro,
Another bomb being drawn.
he made it pretty clear with his choices that he's trying to beat him in fatigue, and he does have double Warpath.
Yeah.
So if he can keep like his life total relatively high, which is going to be very difficult, and can keep removing boards with Warpath, then maybe he gets through, because this is the second Cairn. There's the Moshog Announcers Torn Warriors.
And the Starline is for StrifeCro.
Starline is for StrifeCro with Boulder Fist Ogre and Weapons Project and
Safeguard.
another
Here's a
Akali.
Safeguard.
Yeah, here's another Safeguard.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Black Knight's interesting. It's gonna be able to get some use here.
Dude, how much damage has this Cairn Bane Bloodhoof combo? It's insane.
Well, the two of them together have done a significant amount.
Right. Black Knight, hero power.
You ever think about shield blocking?
The shield slam?
Yeah.
That is an option.
None shall
You can also do it next turn.
Yeah.
You take off 3 power versus 4 if you hero power here.
Yeah, that's true.
Eddie has like a... Oh, no, never mind. Bane's not a mag. It's like he has a pretty good dynamic here. Seems like he can also just take down this Black Knight with his hero power plus develop something. Yeah, Security Rover is the highest cost minion in his hand. Makes sense.
Styles.
Kind of unknowingly playing into Warpath.
Yeah, he doesn't know that StrifeCro picked Warpath.
Yeah.
Star Aligner. I think he shield blocks here, right?
Yeah,
Shield
but
blocks, right?
if you shield block and pick up
This
Warpath,
would be a
then
good time for a
you
master
can only do it 3
plan.
times, which means you don't kill the Bane. You only kill the mech that spawns from the Security Rover. You can Warpath twice in hero power.
So
You
maybe
leave
you...
up 2 mechs and take out the Bane, but
Yeah, so maybe you shield block, shield slam, and then you hero power the 2/3. You just let 4 power exist on the board, then you go for a Warpath.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
This is, I guess, similar in scope, except you don't draw.
yeah, you don't draw, which is actually quite important. And he gets the full value out of the weapon
Right,
too,
right,
so
right.
this minimizes a lot of damage on board. I just don't know. I think he's not ahead enough in fatigue. There's one bomb left in Eddie's deck, I believe. He's got a bomb. He's got a safeguard, and
Seems like a Mega Devastator opportunity here. Okay, the Boom Reaver just wants stuff to close the game. He does also have minions in his deck that he can pull.
yeah,
I mean, Boom Reaver's just big stats. I think that's kind of what he wants.
yeah. And StrifeCro is not going to be able to take advantage of this delivery drone here. He would have to draw Warpath, but doesn't. Mega Devastator. All right. He would leave 4 power on board, 5/6 from the weapon. So he's effectively at 5.
Save the best for last.
It's funny, the big game hunter just straight up. Also, there's no bombs left, is there?
I don't think there's any bombs left.
Yeah, so he's got a big game hunter and a safeguard still left.
Cool. Eddie gonna press in here for the final turn. StrifeCro, even if he picks up Warpath, can't do anything here.
I give up.
That's gonna be it. Game number 1 in the books. Eddie wins a grinder of a match. And again, it wasn't the fatigue that mattered. So I forgot I was standing up, and I'm realizing, oh wait, I'm not. It's gonna be really weird if I'm just standing up and doing the intro back. This is game number 2. Eddie is up 1-0. We'll fix that momentarily. StrifeCro lost the previous game. Eddie with that Dr. Boom Mad Genius in the opening hand. Both of them on their secondary decks, I believe.
Eddie's on his tertiary deck, and StrifeCro's on his secondary deck, but it doesn't matter which one they choose. It just matters what's in them. Both players have added a copy of Baleful Banker, and Eddie has added 2 copies of Symphorian Bomber, where StrifeCro's added 1. StrifeCro's added Augmented Elix and a Mojo Master Zihi, where Eddie has added Rom Hellscream and Alex Straza. And both players have cut a lot of those cards that aren't great in the mirror, like Eternium Rover, Weapons Project, and Warpath. Pressure plan, honestly looking good for Eddie. He's got minions to scale up the curve. Missing an Elec. Elec coins Symphorian Bomber into Symphorian Bomber. Seems like a pretty nice little shindig to me.
Yeah, it's optimistic though to assume that it won't go down, but you know, it's pretty much just Militia Commander or Shield Slam that would deal with this. If it is a Militia Commander, what do you do in response? Do you just Commander right back and just starts this inevitable rush war? StrifeCro not even playing the Clockwork Gnome on 3. That's, I mean, he's aware of the coin Militia Commander. It's just definitely something worth thinking about, you know?
Yeah.
He's been doing this a lot, saving the Clockwork Gnomes because he doesn't want it to get easily pummeled.
Defend the gates.
Defend the gates from yourself. It's like the Spider-Man thing. They're both pointing at each other.
I'm always interested in StrifeCro's game plan because he always does things just a little bit differently.
Well, he picked up the Augmented Elix, so I think this one seems pretty clear to him. He's got Augmented Elix, double Clockwork Shuffle into the Blastmaster Boom.
Dan, this music is not helping.
I love it. I love the elevator theme music of this, and it also summarizes the very likelihood of the success rate of the League of Evil infiltrating Dalaran.
Jazz is stupid. Whoa! Why can't they just play the right notes?
That's why it's brilliant. Every song is like a Reno deck. Or an arena deck. It works both ways.
Surprisingly accurate. Astute observation.
Oh man, Dr. Boom versus the Blastmaster Boom.
I'm so glad.
I favor Eddie in the long term, but StrifeCro in the short term. He's got a fully loaded
Blastmaster.
the Boom Master Blast. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sitting up in his chair.
That's what I'd love to see.
So Eddie has the Shield Slam. He has a Clockwork Goblin and a Ziliax and a Militia Commander, all opportunities to fight back on
Defend
the board.
gates.
Trying to pad a little bit of the damage there with Militia Commander.
Right.
Does succeed in that endeavor.
Wrench Caliber and Militia Commander to press in for the damage here. StrifeCro has an opportunity to be aggressive.
Be aggressive.
And I'd like to see him, I mean, his hand is fairly aggressive in that sense, where it's like you dump your resources and then you refill them with Harrison Jones and a Mega Assembly and Shield Block. Still going to take it a little bit slower, though.
Yeah.
Shield Block. Guess it wouldn't have changed much of his play. Augmented Elic wouldn't have been playable. Bomb.
Bomb. This is one of the downfalls of Eddie's deck because of the inclusions he's decided to make. He fights much weaker on the defensive game plan. He got rid of Dynamatic, Warpath, and Eternium Rover, as well as Weapons Project for the weapon destruction, so kind of has to rely on Dr. Boom to kind of bail him out of this situation.
Seaquarium Bomber. I mean, Eddie's trying to do whatever he can to fight back for the board, but Dr. Boom is not giving him much. I mean, it's helping him answer a little bit of the board, but he's still not doing too much. He needs more resources until he gets that Mega Assembly.
Yep.
Augmented Elic plus Militia Commander is an opportunity here. I wonder if StrifeCro is also going to just tempo this Harrison out here.
I don't know. I think Augmented Elic, Militia Commander trade and swing. Because preserving your boom bots actually just keeps allowing them to push recurring damage.
Yeah, it's also fair.
Which has a decent amount of importance. Now 5 bombs in Eddie's deck. Which is not insignificant at all.
No, that's like most of his life.
Yep. Not much to do this turn. Clockwork Goblin Ziliax, sure, but then you forgo the hero power. You are exactly 30 lives, so you gain no effect from the healing. Just kind of a weird turn. 1 mana off, being able to get full value from these Omega Assemblies, which at this point I feel like necessary. So armor up pass. Okay. Gonna rush in, try and absorb some of this damage.
Yeah, it takes down a little bit of the bombs, maybe absorb something. Okay. StrifeCro has his Omega Assembly ready to go. Oh, no!
Oh, duh!
That is garbage.
I'm offended.
That's terrible. Oh, man. I don't think I've seen a worse Omega Assembly before.
What now?
An Omega Assembly that you can play in its entirety for 2 mana.
It's a 0-2. It's not gonna do anything.
Might as well just play it all at this point.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Now Eddie actually has the ability to strike back with the Zilliax. And as a Mega Assembly. And as a Mega Devastator.
Yeah, that is much better.
Yeah, plus this combined with the Dr. Boom Mad Genius, I think StrifeCro's window's closing.
Magic neutralized.
Like every bit of damage that StrifeCro can push will help him, but you know, with this Beryllium Nullifier, that means Zilliax is going to be hard to remove and gain a bunch of life. Eddie looks like he's in prime position to climb very far ahead now. Sephorium Bomber.
All right, well, Sephorium Bomber does give StrifeCro a chance for lethal.
You have to hit 6 bombs in a row.
6 bombs in a row.
Oh, man. The odds of that have to be astronomically low.
What now?
But imagine if it happened.
Imagine if it happened, that'd just be the clip of the week. Might be just be a clip of the
This
tournament.
story deserves a new win.
Oh my gosh. Feliciana. Darius Crowley. Smolderthorn Lancer, maybe? Or Heavy Metal?
Wow.
Mountain Giant?
StrifeCro quickly realizing his only way to win the game at this stage.
I think just like straight up out-tempoing the
Out tempo him. Which honestly makes sense because Eddie, if you account for the bombs in his deck, is at 1 health.
Fair enough. Maybe he gets like the Reckless Rocketeer stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna Baleful Banker and then hope that he can get something else.
Yeah.
Some kind of weak stuff overall here. Bomb. Okay, Weapons Project. I mean, that one bomb exploding means that this Zilliax is about to pop off.
Yeah, I mean, StrifeCro's chances to win are honestly approaching 0.
Yeah, it was like pretty reasonable up until, well, quite frankly, the fact that Eddie is able to get to the Dr. Boom and just basically played a defensive plan. And I think now that he's super all in on this, StrifeCro's aggressive turnaround in game number 2 is not panning out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have like played the Sephorium Bomber to try and like go for the chance, and he can still do it actually.
Oh yeah, it's true.
He needs all 5 in a row since he's drawn 1, and Sephorium Bomber would put 1 more. I don't think he picked any Russians. Oh, he picked Darius Crowley. Okay.
Rush the enemy! Defend Gilneas!
Trying to minimize the impact of Zilliax if he were to equip that onto the Vicious Scrap Hound. But with the way this game's going, maybe StrifeCro's best chance was to go for Sephorium Bomber to 5 bombs in a row. Like, that's how low of a chance he has to win. There's only 1 bomb in the deck now because StrifeCro replaced his deck and just a Clockwork Goblin's played last turn.
It's like 99.999% chance for A to win, if that's what you're saying.
Well, I think it, like, outside of that, there's a 0% chance for StrifeCro to win. I don't know, just small things to think about. Like, look at this. Alright, now he still has the opportunity, unless Weapons Project is played.
Eddie trying to close it in here. StrifeCro's running out of time. I mean, the Town Crier pulls the Darius Crowley. His last chance is literally the C4 Bomber before he gets out of range.
I think you honestly have to, with Blast Shield, this is your last chance. I don't know. It's so abysmally small that happens. Like, so small.
I just want to see 4 bombs being ripped right now.
Nope.
Oh, Alex Straza. Now Eddie can be aggressive right back. Yes. And then rush into 2-3. Kill off the 6-3. StrifeCro is dead.
He has one more chance, Dan.
Oh yeah, he does have
one
chance.
more chance.
I don't know how this keeps happening, but he
1,
keeps
2, 3, 4, 5 bombs in the deck. 5 in a row. Let's do it. Let's go.
5 out of 17. Doesn't even see the card because he didn't get any bomb. Eddie's gonna take it 2-0.